Hey Amber, I am so excited to have you on the Voice Notes from the Organized Homeschool podcast. So let's jump right into it. Can you just start by introducing yourself? Give me a little bit about you, even though I feel like I know you from social media, but tell me, who you are, how long you've been homeschooling, a little bit about your family, whatever you feel comfortable sharing, a little bit about your homeschool, and anything else that can kick us off and start our conversation.
Hey Erica, thanks for choosing me for the voice notes. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Also, so nervous because I think I recorded myself maybe like 20 or 30 times and just kept starting over. But anyway, I'm Amber. I'm a homeschool mom of two. I am the creator behind Playful Homeschool Mom. I've been a stay-at-home mom since my daughter was 8 months old. She is 6 years old now. I have a 2-year-old son. I've been married for 8 years. We've been together for 18 years, so we already knew we were homeschooling our kids from the beginning. But anyway, I want to say I've been homeschooling my daughter since she was about 3 years old, but this was also our official kindergarten year of homeschooling, with all our paperwork and portfolio and stuff like that. So I like to say this was our first official year of homeschooling, even though I've been homeschooling her since she was 3 years old. And it's just been a learning experience for actually both of us. Our homeschool is a mix of a few curriculums, of course, play, books, nature, field trips, hands-on activities, and really whatever my daughter is currently obsessed with. Usually I can turn those lessons into 1 week lessons or just a few weeks of that, whatever she's currently interested in. I just turn that into math, reading, whatever I can find. We recently just spent 3-4 weeks learning about butterflies because she was completely fascinated by them. And that was so much fun learning about them. One of the biggest things I've learned is that learning doesn't only happen, sitting at the table. Some of our best learning happens through our everyday life. Conversations, trips, walks, of course, library visits, and just following her curiosity with a toddler running around in the background. Sometimes I try to find whatever he's also interested in when she's doing her focused work. And, sometimes that doesn't always happen. So I just let him run around if she's comfortable with that. If not, we just kind of do things when he takes a nap. When I first started homeschooling, we always think we need to have everything figured out. But now I've learned to slow down, be more flexible, and just trust the process a little more. And that's probably one of the biggest lessons that I've learned this year. So yes, I'm excited to share more about our journey and what has worked for us.
And I love everything you just shared. So I want to just jump right into all the goodness and all the questions. I have 6 questions already from your one voice note. So you mentioned that you and your husband have been together for a long time and you knew that you wanted to homeschool. But can you I know it might have been a while, but take me back to why did you all decide to homeschool and how did that decision come about? I know it might have been a long time ago, but did you talk about it? Did one of you bring it up? Were both of you just yep, definitely do it? Did you do any research? Was it just you knew someone homeschooled? I'm just curious because there's a lot of talk out there, not a lot of talk, but the people who I hear saying things the most, which makes sense because there's pain point, is I really want to homeschool, but my husband's not on board. And so I feel like this might be a clip that a mom can send to her husband and be look, this is how they decided, or this is why they're on board, or this is the reason why homeschooling was just a no-brainer. It sounds like that from how you shared, but I'd just love to know a little bit more about that. And then I have another question on deck.
Yes, I actually get those questions or comments a lot. How did you get your husband on board? Or were y'all both always on board or something like that? I always get those comments or questions. But I want to say because we've been together for so long and we had our kids late, that wasn't our initial thought because we met when we were 20. I was 20 and he was about 23. So of course we talked about kids, but homeschool wasn't our first thought because we were still young at that age. But once we started getting older and started doing well, he works at a school district, but he doesn't work with the kids, but he's around them. So he sees a lot of things and from experiences and just growing up and learning different things and doing more research. We both was just like, yeah, let's homeschool our kids once we really decided, once we got in our 30s, I was like, hey, let's have our kids, let's get married, let's have our kids. And yeah, we both like decided that homeschool was going to be our thing. But even when we decided that homeschool was our thing, I didn't even really research it like that until my daughter was maybe like, I want to say 1 or 2, maybe 2, something like that. And that's when I really started deep diving into homeschool. So yeah, it was definitely a mutual decision when we got a little older and were actually ready for kids. And it wasn't like we both sat down and researched it. It was really just a mutual thought. And then I just started researching, and when my daughter was like able to talk and understand, everything that I bought her toy wise, I always put a thought into like, and it always had to be not always, but educational or long as she was learning. That was always my thought. And then once she got to 3, that's when I started pulling out worksheets and seeing where she was at with her handwriting. And let me tell you, I knew her handwriting was good because when she turned 1, oh my goodness, she wrote all over my walls and all over my furniture. I was like, oh no, I gotta get this girl something to do. But yeah, that's pretty much how it came about.
Okay, this makes a lot of sense, and I'm cracking up around having to give your daughter worksheets and things because she was writing all over the place. That is not a great problem to have, but a good problem to have. Just would wish it wouldn't have to be on your walls, right? But I would love to hear now this maybe is like a 2-part question. You mentioned that you know, in the beginning felt like you had to have it all together and have it all figured out, but now you're learning to like slow down, trust the process. And maybe these 2 things aren't actually connected, but what I'm wondering is, what did your days look like and what did your planning and preparation look like when you were like feeling like you had to have everything all together to like now? What has that evolution looked like now? What do you plan? How do you stay organized? How are you learning to slow down and trust the process? What does that day-to-day look like? So maybe it doesn't have to do with planning or organization. Maybe it's just like your days. What do your days look like? But I'm really interested in like going from feeling like you have to have everything figured out to really slowing down and trusting the process. I hear a lot of homeschool moms have similar evolutions, and I'm interested in how that happened for you.
I want to say in the beginning, because I was so brand new to homeschool, I thought I had to have everything, figured out. Looking at social media and TikTok and all these different homeschool accounts, you start thinking you need this perfect curriculum or the perfect schedule, or every day just need to be planned out from start to finish. And then looking at all those accounts, I just put a lot of pressure on myself because I thought that this is what homeschool was supposed to look like, especially when you don't know anything about it or don't know anyone or just don't have any knowledge of homeschool. Because of that pressure became overwhelming. And when it became overwhelming, I kind of swung in the opposite direction and started winging it. But, winging it only took me but so far. And after a while, I realized that I needed just a different system that worked for me and my family. So what I started doing was learning more about AI and tried to create different tools for myself. So I built different apps and systems that basically simplified our homeschool planning. So now if one of my kids is interested in something, I can quickly go on an app, type it in, and turn learning opportunities without spending hours on planning. I also create activities between the 2 of them, even though they're different ages. It also gives me things like that. So the biggest change in that homeschooling feels a little bit more sustainable now. We still learn every day, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. If we need a slower day, we just take a slower day without even thinking anything about it. And if life happens, we just adjust. Having those systems in place and creating them, it definitely gave me the flexibility that I was looking for without feeling like I had to choose between being completely planned out or just winging it. And I'm so glad I'm not winging it anymore.
Okay, you just tugged on one of my heartstrings because I can't with the winging it. I just can't. And I feel you because social media really can influence you a lot. I I take notes when I'm listening to the voice notes because I'm having multiple different conversations at once, so it's helpful for me to remember, but I wrote down like we need a rule book on like, or not even a rule book, just some rules on how to use social media as homeschoolers because I think we've all fallen into the trap of like, oh, this is what homeschooling is supposed to be because I just saw this like really, this looks so fun. This look like this is kind of what I want. I do want freedom for us, but like, what does freedom look like for me? So I feel you on this, and it's so funny because I just did a post about how a lot of homeschoolers are scared of this idea of rigor if for whatever reason. Maybe it's because, they really want freedom, so they feel like they can't have rigorous instruction. And actually, the structure and the plans help to have the freedom to have the ability to say yes to an impromptu parked play date, or like you said, take a slower day if you need it, or if life happens, be able to adjust and pivot. So you are like speaking to me right now. I had another question like in my head that I was wanting to ask, and I think what you started to talk about with your apps that you've created and using AI might also be connected to this question. So I was curious, you mentioned earlier in one of your voice notes that you use your daughter's interests and turn those into lessons. And so I was wanting to ask, like, how do you do that? What does that look like? Like, take us behind the scenes of one of these lessons or units of lessons. But it sounds like there's apps involved too, which I knew this because I purchased one of your apps, and this is my reminder to go and use it. But like, share more about the apps, like what do they all do, and then what's the process for you to turn your daughter's interests into lessons?
I can definitely agree on a red book because I was definitely one of those moms who went down a rabbit hole and bought that color colored planner and still have yet to use it, and it's still in my cabinet. So yeah, we can use that. So okay, my apps. So how I got into that was on Threads. I'm on all social media platforms, but I'm mainly on Threads because I feel like that's a little bit more my speed. And I end up getting a coach on there, and she introduced me to Lovable, where you can create websites, apps, pretty much anything. And my first product that I was creating was my homeschool guide. And she was like, well, why don't you try to make it on there instead of a regular PDF? She said, you're very creative, so why don't you go on there and see what you can do? And I ended up creating my first product on there. And next thing you know, I done created 8 other products within like a week. Okay, so I have the interest-based learning app. I'm not selling this app. This is the app I use to help me plan and help other moms plan their homeschool. So what I do is I ask, what does your child love? So it can be anything like dinosaurs, space, nature, sharks, blue, pink. It could be colors. It could be anything. So I'm going to type in, my daughter loves unicorns, so I'm just going to type in unicorn, and you can, press create magic. And then before it actually gives you anything, it'll ask you choose your child's age. Pre-K, 3 to 4, kindergarten, early elementary, or even upper elementary. So it goes from 3 to 12. So we're going to pick early elementary, which is 6 to 8 on here. Right now it's creating a personalized curriculum. So this isn't the only thing I use. This is just some of it I use when I go for planning. So for example, unicorns. For math, it has like unicorn horn measurement, magical addition, gem sorting. For science, fizzy unicorn portions, crystal unicorn names. For reading, a unicorn sight word hunt or magical map reading. And then when you press on it, you click for ideas. For the fizzy unicorn portion, it gives you a description and it gives you all the materials you needed. And it gives you a roughly around time of how long the experiment is. And it also gives you the instructions from beginning to end. For writing, unicorn diary entry, the missing horn mystery. And for art, wearable unicorn horns or watercolor resist unicorn silhouettes. And that's just one of the ways that I can turn interest-based learning into learning adventures, basically. And that's just part of the app because it also has random activities and it also has sibling activities that they can do together. So yeah, that's what comes all in it. Yeah. And to pretty much sum up what my apps do, it's just to help that, first time or not even first time, just that overwhelmed homeschool mom, because that was me at one point.
Okay, this is really cool. And that was super helpful. I appreciate you going through the example because that just painted the picture. Even though we couldn't see, I feel like I understand how it works. And that's really cool to be able to okay, we're really into this. Here's the age. Give me some ideas. I love that so much. And so you mentioned that you don't sell this one, but you use it with homeschool moms to help them, or parents, families, to help them with their homeschool. I think this may be connected to a business, or I think it is. So just can you I had that on my list of questions. So it kind of naturally came up. I'd love to hear more about it. What do you do? How do you support homeschool families? What does that look like? And yeah, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, so when a mom comes to see me for homeschool planning, they first have to choose a plan that fits them. And it could be a single week, a 3-month plan, a full year, or I also have ongoing support for moms that want a monthly plan, but I actually plan with them weekly. And because that plan is weekly, it's only limited spots. So each plan has its own personalized intake form, so I can really understand what each family needs. For example, let's say a mom signed up for a 3-month plan. So I asked for the child's or children's name, age, and grade. I asked what state they're in, child's learning style, interests, what curriculum they're currently using, and where they're currently at if they're using one. Sometimes I'll build activities around anything needed in the curriculum. I asked about what subjects or skills need more focus, what are their biggest struggles in their homeschool, their current routine, like slow mornings, a Monday through Thursday schedule, co-op on certain days. I also asked what has not been working. What routines do you want to build this season? Any upcoming trips or life events? Academic goals for the next 3 months. I also asked social emotional goals such as more sibling cooperation or confidence in group settings. I ask areas where your child may lack confidence, independent skills that need to develop, parent burnout triggers, family values and priorities, any screen time habits, rewards, or motivation methods that work. I also ask any faith-based preferences or anything else that they want me to know. And with all that, the 3-month plan, they receive it in about 5 to 7 days. So I really try to, with all those questions, I just really try to make it as personalized as possible. So with all those questions, let's see what really goes into a plan. So I give a list of all the materials needed for each week so they aren't blindsided. And then I give out notes on how to support their learner, whether it's visual or hands-on. I give a monthly progress checker page, and I also provide a small teacher's guide because I have a lot of moms who come to me and they're like, yeah, I love how you plan, but I still feel like I need someone to tell me what to do. So I provide a teacher's guide. For example, let's say one of these child's interests was nature. So for that month, I'll provide vocabulary words with definition, key facts to teach each week, and discussion questions to go over. Also, experiments and activities. So with that child's interest being nature for that month, I'll call it Nature Explorers for a 6-year-old with a 3-day, let's say she has a 3-day week schedule, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So week 1, I'll call it like backyard bugs. Week 2, plants are growing. Week 3, weather catchers and so forth. So for week 1, the backyard bugs, a Wednesday could look like first a 5-minute warm up. Move like a bug. You could crawl like a beetle or hop like a grasshopper. Go through that. For reading, bug word cards. You write all the bug words on cards, have them read each one, and also clap out those syllables. Now, for science, you could do a science chat. Go over how many certain bugs, how many legs they have, count with each finger. Draw or color and label those body parts. That's your science. For crafting, you can do a paper plate label, paint the plate red, add like dots, count those dots together. And that was just short lessons for a Wednesday that a mom asked me for a 3-month summer plan. So I made it really light. And then at the end of the plan, I provide recommendations on how to handle resistance, adapting to low energy days, or even extending learning when your child just wants more. I also provide custom AI prompts if they need extra motivation or just seeing that they stuck. For busy or slow days, I give out options like a couch day with a documentary because, there's going to be days where we just don't feel like it. So you can choose that and still feel like you did something for the day. And then last but not least, I give the mom a personal note at the end just to let her know that I see her and just to keep going. And a lot of moms always message me about the last note. I had one mom, she said, "Oh my goodness, I just read this every day. This is something that I needed." So yeah, that's what pretty much goes into a plan. Well, 3-month plan because every intake form is different. But yeah, that pretty much summed it up.
Okay, I love this. It sounds like such a good service to be providing to families who like don't want to do the planning, are building their skills in planning, or maybe even like just don't have the time. I posted recently about working homeschool moms, and I got a lot of responses. People like, "Yep, that's me. I'm working." And I know that a lot of the content that's out there right now with homeschool talks a lot about, or no, it shows the mom doing kind of like everything. And so I love that you are an option for outsourcing some of the work that goes into homeschooling. So that's so, so cool. I would love to hear from you about how do you stay organized with having this kind of as a business, I'm assuming you're building. I don't know if you would call it a business, but yeah, it sounds like a business to me. So how do you stay organized? And I know balance is not real, like there's not an equal 50-50 split, but some type of balance and self-care and all of that when you are giving to your own children through homeschool and all the other things that mothers do, and also have the support that you're giving to other families. What does that look like for you?
So the planning service that I created is what actually helped me be more organized inside my homeschool. And besides that, how I pour back into myself and stay organized with other things, I make sure I take breaks and I make sure that I know when my breaks are. For example, I always take a break when my son takes a nap and I give my 6-year-old daughter an activity so that I can take at least a 5-10 minute break. And then when my husband comes home, I'll take another 15 to 30 minute break. I also get up about 3 hours earlier than the kids so I can have more time at whatever I need to do, whether it's doing something for homeschool or in my business, just so I can have that time to myself. I also found another homeschool mom on Instagram, and she gave some great advice. She said, make sure that you know when your break time is so you can always have that to look forward to. Because if you don't, you're always looking for that next break or being overwhelmed because you don't know when that next break is. So that's pretty much how I try to handle my self care, if that makes sense.
Yep, this makes a lot of sense. And as our kids are the same age, 2 and 6, and that whole take a break when the toddler is napping is so clutch. Sometimes I nap. Sometimes I'm like, it's now reading time because I just want to sit here and read and I need a moment of silence. So I feel you on that. Speaking of toddlers, talk to me about how you're homeschooling with a toddler. You already started to give me a little bit of it with like when he takes it, or when they, I don't know why I say he because I'm picturing my toddler. I don't know if you told me if your 2-year-old is a boy or girl, but when they take a nap, you take breaks. But is there anything else? Like, what does life look like homeschooling with a toddler, and any tips or advice you have for that?
Honestly, homeschooling with a toddler can be a little chaotic. In the beginning, we used to start schooling a little later in the day, and I would homeschool when he would take a nap. But now that he's getting a little older, I try to include him a little more. So what I did was I created me like a homeschool toddler survival kit, a toolkit, another one of these apps that I created that I have on my phone. And it's basically when your toddler chooses chaos, you can just start here. So there's activities and things that you can find on here depending on what age your toddler is. And there's buttons that you can press to get whatever you need. I need quiet time. I need help right now. They have high energy. There's also mouth safe ideas because if you have a toddler like mine, he likes to put everything in his mouth. So I have activities where things are safe for them to put in their mouth. I also have a SOS for a mom who was just literally can't do anything right now, or their toddler is just in chaos mode, or you're overstimulated, or a full meltdown is in process. So this section right here is there aren't any activities. It's more like a playbook. It's more so for the mom and toddler second. So there's breathing activities, a 30-second bathroom break rule, things you can text one person, just things where you can just calm down or don't know what to do in that moment. And there's things that can help you deal with that. And there's also, you can type in your toddler's interest, just like where I had the curriculum thing where you type in their interest and it'll give you a whole type of curriculum. This will just give you activities on whatever your toddler is obsessed with. And you can also put how much time you got to set up those activities, whether it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. It also asks you what you're doing at the time. Are you trying to make dinner? Are you trying to clean up? Are you trying to teach other siblings just drink your coffee hot? Or are you just trying to survive? So I definitely use those little activities and try to give him something to set him up with while my oldest is doing her focus break. And because they're both young, of course, sometimes she's like, oh, I want to do that. So some of those activities, I might wait and let them do it together.
Okay, I know you mentioned you had quite a few of these apps, but you really do have a lot. I love it. And this one is like so necessary. The name of it, Homeschool Toddler Survival Kit, and the way you described it of when your toddler chooses chaos is so real. It's just perfect timing because today was a day of chaos. Now, he made some really good decisions, but like there was a lot of chaos. So that is hilarious. I love that. And if you are selling this one off and you have a sales page, definitely include that phrase if it's not already included because that hits home so hard. Okay, you have shared so much and we've talked about a lot. I'm so grateful. I would love to end with like one last question and then open up for you if there's anything that we didn't get to talk about. So my last question is, what advice would you give to a new homeschool mom or parent? Like, what's your biggest piece of advice? And then anything that we didn't get to talk about, definitely share now because I don't want to leave anything unsaid that should be said. So if there's anything that we didn't get to talk about, definitely share that. And then any pieces of advice you would have for a new homeschooling parent.
Yeah, I'm just now realizing I really did create a lot of things. I'm just trying to create tools and systems where I'm not overwhelmed all the time because as a homeschool mom, we're wearing a lot of hats. And because we're doing all these things every day, for a first time homeschool mom, the advice I would give her would be to start simple and you're not going to have it all figured out. I still don't have it all figured out. Give yourself some grace because you're learning too. Trust the process, trust yourself, trust your child. And please don't compare yourself online because, again, you're going to go down that rabbit hole and see all these things. Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? You really just need to do what you and your family needs. And I think that's pretty much it.
That is such good advice. I 100% echo all that you said. It's so real, so easy to compare, and feel like you should have it all figured out. And I don't know if you ever will because you're changing as a human. Your kids are always changing and growing, and that's the world. So, yeah, feel like you have, the grace and the flexibility to figure things out. And as a homeschool mom, you will continue to. So just want to echo that and add those couple little things there too. But so grateful. Thank you for sharing everything you've shared. I know that people are going to want to follow you, learn from you, work with you, get your support. So last thing is, can you share where everyone can find you and anything that you have going on? I think your episode will come out end of July, early August, maybe mid-August. I don't know. It's hard for me to keep track of when everyone's is happening, but around that time. So if there's anything you have going on around that time too that you want to share, that would be awesome. But at least let us know where we can find you. Anything you want to highlight, now is the great time.
Yes, everyone can find me. All things Playful Homeschool Mom. Website, social media, everything. Everything is strictly Playful Homeschool Mom. And I do have a few things coming up, but I can't really talk about it right now. So stay tuned. And I just want to say thank you for giving me a voice on your platform. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yes, love this. We have things coming up, but we can't talk about it. So you just need to follow. So everybody go follow Amber. Amber, thank you so much again. I truly enjoyed chatting with you and getting to know more about you and all the awesome things you're doing for your children and also for helping other homeschoolers. So good. So appreciate you. I can't wait to keep following your journey and staying in touch. And I'll talk to you soon. Bye.